This week's 5-Minute Friday, I wanted to talk about the new Snap-on locking flex head design. So this is a short handle. Actually, I don't even know the part number. It's FX80B. FX80B is the part number. So this is the shorter handle with the locking, the new locking flex head design. And then this is actually I don't even know this one. This one is the Snap-on. It's the FX80A. So this is kind of this one's about 11 inches long. This is the older style locking flex head with the little guy right here. I guess the locking pawl or whatever. And the head's different. So one thing I wanted to mention is, at least on this big ratchet, I noticed that this thing doesn't stay locked. So somebody on YouTube made a short about this. This is the Snap-on. It's the man, if it'll focus, FLLX80. It's the long locking flex head. But this thing, it slips. Like, I thought I just didn't have it engaged properly or something a couple times. But like, when I have it, like, say at an angle like about that, and then I lock it, and then I put a lot of torque, like a belt tensioner or something, it'll just flop. This will come unlocked. And first couple times I'm like, well, maybe I just didn't have it in the right position or something. That's just my thought. But then it kept happening. So one thing I noticed is, if it'll focus there, these grooves, I think, they get dirt and grease in them from just using them. And then it allows this to not lock as good. That's why I honestly prefer this style locking. A lot of people don't like these, where you slide it down and then you slide it down and it unlocks, or you slide it down and over and then now it's freestanding. So one thing I will say is, this is kind of in a little bit of a weird spot. There has been times that I have bumped this and I bumped it and it's not in the right spot. But then they changed the head design. So obviously these are not the same length ratchets, but they did change the head design. Like, look how much longer the head comes down. And then they basically flopped the fork is on the handle on this side, as where it's on the head on this one. And then you can even see how much thicker they made the head. So I think this is a way better design, like where this screw doesn't come loose or anything. And then one thing I do like about these is, when you unlock them, if you can hear that, there's detents. So like, say sometimes you don't want a locking ratchet. So you want to have it like that. Well, it'll detent and it'll stay. As where this one, it'll stay, but when this one was just warranted, so this one's fairly new, but when they get loose, this head is really, really floppy. You can basically just flop it with your wrist and it'll flop back and forth. I do think that they kind of ripped off Matco's design here, as where the Matco one, it's kind of down here in the fork. The Matco one looks like this, but this locking mechanism is basically down here. But it's just, the Matco ones are really hard, where this is actually really, really easy to move. That's not the problem. I just noticed that, like, dirt and grease and stuff get packed in the grooves. This one looks pretty clean. It'll focus there. This one looks pretty clean, but stuff gets packed in the grooves, and then they just don't want to lock. See how there's like stuff packed in there? So another reason I think they did this is, if you think about it, manufacturing, like on this one, when you tighten this screw, like, see how much there is for this thread to bite? I don't know, what is that like? It's not really focusing. Is that like, what, maybe a quarter, a little less than a quarter inch? As where this one's got a whole lot more for that thread to bite. So it's probably better. And then, the odds of this, like, stripping out and stuff are a lot lower. So you don't have to, like, if this strips out, you have to replace the whole handle. So I'm sure for warranty purposes, it's also cheaper. One thing too that I want to mention is, so if you can see these two, the frame's kind of weird. Let me change the frame here. So this one is the 11.5-inch long ratchet, and this one's like, see how much shorter that one is? But this ratchet is like way heavier than this one. I don't know what the exact weight is, but just the heft of this one is a lot heavier. And I mean, if you think about it, I got a little hand helping me here. So this is a lot thicker and a lot heavier. And then two, I'm sure that this shaft's hollow, at least probably to this point. So that, because there's a bar that slides in this. So this is a little bit thinner well, you know, it's hollow, so that's why it's a little bit lighter. But this one, I'm sure, is just all solid. So it's definitely, this one's a lot heavier. That's just my thoughts on this new locking mechanism. I hope that, I was going to ask my Snap-on guy, but I wasn't sure. I hope that they don't discontinue this and they just offer both. I think that would be fine. But they might end up discontinuing this older style. I mean, I don't know that for sure, but my thoughts are if they keep them both to get, like, keep both locking mechanisms, that'd be cool. But they're probably going to honestly discontinue this one because I don't know why they would have two different locking mechanisms. But that's just my thought. I'm curious if they're going to come out with this on a 1/4 inch. That'd be kind of cool. If they do, I'd do a video about that too.